Welcome to K. Elizabeth Toasts, a podcast celebrating people who increase our quality of life. I'm your host, K. Elizabeth, a licensed counselor, coach, and PhD who is interested in what people do to make others' lives better through the lens of the 5 social determinants of health. The World Health Organization says these 5 social determinants can impact up to 55% of our health outcomes. In this episode, our guest shares how they impact the social determinant of access to quality healthcare. Give a listen if you need a dopamine hit, or if you like toast, because this toasts for you.
My name is Heidi Landry. I am what some people call a professional volunteer. I became a volunteer in 2005 when my husband went on his first deployment with the U.S. Army. And I decided that when I stopped working in respiratory therapy, that staying home with our daughter, I needed to do something else just for myself and then to also help my community. You know, when you're in the Army, you're kind of surrounded by other people who are always having that common goal of thinking of other people and coming out with everyone. And then we retired and I moved to South Carolina. And about a year and a half after we retired, after 21 years in the military, I got breast cancer. After going through treatment, one of my support groups that I was in my local community here, suggested casting for recovery. And I thought, you know what? I've seen, the movie of with Brad Pitt on the river. And I thought, I've always saw that. And I thought that looked so magical and so relaxing. And so I applied and got in. And I was a participant and then decided after it had the profound effect on me that it did, that I needed to be part of sharing that with other people and bringing some of my skill set of being a longtime volunteer to help further their mission. So that's kind of what brought me to Casting for Recovery.
So what is Casting for Recovery?
Casting for Recovery is a nonprofit that takes outdoor programming and connects it to women going through breast cancer treatment. And it is 14 women immersed in nature for like 2.5 days.
What?
Yes, it's amazing. Back in 1996, 2 women, a professional fly fisherman and a breast reconstructive surgeon, got together and they realized that the casting motion of the fly rod was good for women who had had surgery or muscle tightness in the chest.
Wow.
And that motion sort of loosens everything up and also helps people connect, gives them a little bit of time to reflect. The whole weekend kind of is encouraging and it's uplifting and it's enlightening. They connect through learning how to fly fish, and then they also are connected with people in the mental health community as well as the medical community to kind of give them an opportunity to like talk to each other and build bonds and kind of realize that there is life after breast cancer and even during treatment. Many of us women don't make it out of being out of treatment. So it's kind of something that kind of helps you along the way as well.
Wow. Okay, so you have to walk me through that 2.5 days.
Okay. So day 1, we gather all the ladies from whatever state we're in. Now we're a nationwide program. So depending on the state depends on where your retreats are held. But speaking from North Carolina, South Carolina, we're in the mountains of North Carolina. I'll set the scene of Lake Logan, which is a wide open lake, beautiful trees. It sort of comes around and hugs the participants. And they come in on a Friday evening and we gather them all together, all different women, any age, any stage, from all areas of 2 different states. So it's kind of a wide variety. Every evening, all the women stay in one house. The first night we do like a meet and greet and everyone kind of learns a little bit about ourselves. The next day we talk about how fishing relates to breast cancer. For some women that come to our retreats, this might be the first time that they are with other people who are in the same situation as them. Plus, most of them had never done fly fishing. And what a better way to bond people than to stick them in nature and then give them a good challenge.
I feel like nature always gives a good challenge anyway.
It does. It does. After they kind of meet. We talk about their sort of parallel paths that the fish and the people are taking together for the weekend. We talk about what trout eat, and that also then ties into, as people, what is encouraged after and during treatment. Like, how do you want to eat? How do you want to feed yourself? We kind of describe the river and where fish like to live in the river. And then we ask the participants, the 14 women, to kind of think about where they would be if they were a fish in the river. You have rapids that move quickly, you have things called a riffle, you have overhangs and little hiding places. And, just like trout, people sometimes need to kind of go and hide in a little bit of a place and get some more rest and relaxation. Some people are very tired during treatment and they need to kind of rest. And it's kind of drilled in with our mental health professionals that we have that, just because you're in this one place in the river that day, that doesn't mean you're going to be there tomorrow. You can be in some other area tomorrow or in a couple of days. And then on the final day, we have professional anglers and fly fishing guides that come in, men and women that are very seasoned, and they partner with the participants and take them to the river one-on-one. The volunteers are very special people because they're very patient. I mean, they're dealing with us ladies who have maybe only tied one fly for the whole weekend, and all we want to do is just have that experience of catching a fish and just kind of taking a moment when you're in the river and the water's rushing by you and you're standing still. It's powerful. There's a lot of tears that are shed for those moments of, you get to that Sunday and you've gone through a lot the 2 days prior with these women. They become quite close and in a very quick time frame.
I don't want to be tongue-in-cheek, but it must be magical.
It is. We use that word magical a lot when we talk about our application process. There's sort of a general application process that is out on castingforrecovery.org, and you can look at the state that's closest to you and then apply for the retreat. Out of the applications, then they pick 14 women and then they pick up alternates because, going through cancer treatment, you don't always know what's coming next week or tomorrow. So it's kind of a gamble, but we do our best to fill all 14 of those slots for every retreat that we have. And we'll tell people, sometimes it takes more than one application year to get in to a retreat. It's a lottery that your application is chosen, but that's what we'll always say, keep applying because you will attend a retreat when the right time hopefully is for you. It might be 2 years later or 3 years in a row that you're applying and just hoping that that's going to be the one. And thankfully, so far, we have not disappointed. Even people who have had to wait many, many times to come in, they get there and they see it. They get it.
It sounds like the right people are there at the right time. I would imagine their relationships are pretty darn strong.
After we do all of our programming that we have, scheduled out, and it's, 30 minutes, we're going here, we're doing this, we're doing knot tying, we're doing fly tying, we're having a group discussion on the physical effects of breast cancer. We're talking about nutrition. Then they have free time and they go back to this house and they can take a nap, they can relax. They gather around the dining room table at this house. They sit in the living room and they have just organic conversation with people they've never met before. Most of the women who come to our retreat, 67%, have never been to a support group. I think you get sort of stuck in your own treatment regimen and you're not really prepared to process it. I know for myself, I have a good group of friends that would bring me meals and come and visit me and drop off brownies on my side porch after I finished treatment. And they were so supportive, but there's just something so different about people who have been through it. And I think sometimes it can be a little scary to walk into a group and be so vulnerable. You can see everyone is so nervous in the beginning and they kind of are looking at each other and trying to size each other up a little bit about, who they're going to find the most in common with. But a lot of times it's like one moment. It's when someone is, trying to tell their story to the group and they're about to cry and they get comfort from the most unlikely place, which is someone they have never met. They don't know anything about them. And it doesn't matter because at that point, it's just two people who have walked in the same path and are just trying to find their way out to what does life look like now.
Yeah.
And it happens so frequently that it's difficult to really pinpoint what it is. And I can only imagine that it's because, you're in an area that when you look up, the mountains are taller than you. I mean, everything is bigger. It kind of gives you that moment of clarity of this might be big now, but it's not going to be big forever.
So in your role as the volunteer coordinator, to get that role right?
I take many roles.
Oh, tell me more.
So I've done anything from being a participant coordinator. We jokingly say that it's the best job because you get to call people and you're like, you won the nature lottery. You get to come. Like, but it's a lot of work, but it's a great and it's a rewarding time.
Wait, so tell me more about what you do in your volunteer coordinator role.
So in that role, you basically give the details, emails, telephone calls, and when you meet them in person, you really feel like you know them because you get to know like if they have cats, if they have a kid, if they're a dog person, all those details that people share when they first meet people. It's wonderful. And then I also do outreach. So I'm a grant writer, some marketing.
Wait, marketing too? What do you do in marketing?
So we are always looking for connections within the communities that we are in, basically letting them know that, we are always looking for funding. We're always looking to add people to our mailing list that can also spread the word about retreats and different programs that we participate in within our local community, like Trout Unlimited. We have here in South Carolina, we have a wonderful cancer survivor park that's in Greenville. We do some activities with them and reaching out with that area. Right now, I'm in a learning role, and I'm learning about planning all of the retreats that they do and all of the aspects of communicating with national office and connecting everything together that are in all those separate lanes that come together for the retreat.
I would imagine that's really intense.
There's a lot. There is a lot to learn.
What else are you learning?
So I'm learning about putting myself out there and doing things I've never done, like podcasts. I am learning about grant presentations, kind of just doing a better job about being detailed about what it is that we do as far as like the statistics and all of that good stuff. I know lots about the warm and fuzzy stuff.
Well, then I have to ask, what's your favorite statistic?
So 2024 is like on track for being the largest year as far as how many retreats. They're going to have 60 nationwide retreats that are going to help over 800 women.
What?
Yes. I am like absolutely fascinated that they have helped more than 12,000 people nationwide. 12,000 women have gone through a retreat to date. And that just like, I can't grasp that number. I think about any place that I've been where I've been with 12,000 people, and I have a hard time grasping the volume of people that have been on a retreat. Probably each of them have had at least one moment during the retreat that has made them a little different than they were before. That's a powerful, powerful message.
I presume there's a cost to this?
So it is free to the participants.
What?
Yes, we fundraise. We're a nationwide program, so we have, I think, maybe 13 to 15 national staff, but every chapter is run by volunteers.
Wow.
So we fundraise for our own programs. It cost us probably like $15,000 a retreat.
Wow.
And that includes all of the housing and meals and just a little bit of supplies. And we're pretty good about being really lean and mean, but yeah, there's a fundraising effort component to it, but it is free to the participants. And coming out of what it is a very expensive time for most, they just have to get themselves to Lake Logan.
So does this happen annually?
Yes. So in the past, so this is our first year that our program in the Carolinas is offering 2 retreats a year because we have the highest number of applicants in the country for our programs. And I can only guess that it's due to the word of mouth of people talking about it afterwards. The fly fishing community is very supportive of it. A lot of the oncologist offices, just getting our name out there is so helpful.
It's clear to me that you have really dedicated a major part of your life to building community and impacting the lives of others. If you were to give advice to someone on how they could make an impact on someone else's life positively, what would you suggest to them?
I am a huge advocate for volunteerism. It can be done in the smallest of ways to it becoming what it has come for me is kind of a life mission of volunteering. And you don't need to have special skills. You can think about what it is that you think you do really well. And I would be willing to bet there's an organization that can take your skills. And it doesn't have to be time consuming. It can be what you have time for. And I also tell folks, even my 20-year-old daughter, that everyone has time to volunteer. Everyone has time to give of themselves for the betterment of someone else. And you will just get it twofold.
Hmm. What is the smallest volunteer service that you can think of?
Okay, so when I say that nothing is too small, so I had a neighbor in New York who was an older gentleman, and I happened to notice that like his trash can was always at the street, and I thought, wonder why his trash can is always at the street. So one day I just kind of pulled it up and I didn't say anything. And then by the next week he was like, "Did you move my trash can?" And I said, "I did." I said, "I saw it was there and I just thought maybe I'd take one more thing off your plate." And he said, "Well, that's wonderful because I have a sore on my foot and I can't walk." So rather than me getting upset that his trash can was still at the street, I thought, well, that doesn't seem normal, bringing his can up. Um, I have a friend who loves to bake cakes, and I'm always like, "Did you know that there's an organization that you can bake birthday cakes for people that are in the hospital or going through treatment?" She's like, "There is?" I was like, "Yes, of course. I bet I could find any volunteer. If you tell me you have a skill, I bet I could find some place for you to spend some time."
That's incredible. I had no idea about the birthday cakes for people in hospitals.
Yes, it is. It's amazing. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, I think if people stop to really look and see in their community how things get done, it's nonprofits that are making a huge difference. It is people working hard without a salary and they do it joyfully. They don't, there's never a time where I'm thinking, "Oh, I don't want to volunteer." I'm always like, "Oh man, you know what I get to do this weekend?"
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
It's it's unreal the power of giving of yourself to some organization or someone.
I like that you use the word power, that there's power in working together and getting things done. But I also think that there's probably a lot of power in knowing that so many people have worked together for the retreat, and the power in knowing that so many people are committed to your health.
I hadn't really thought about it like that, but you're right. They probably do feel that. I know that we get a lot of responses afterwards that it's, the best experience that they had, that it's, the most meaningful time that they've spent in a long time, and how they felt empowered after they left the retreat. And you kind of always wonder, like, what was it that we did? Because somehow it feels like we didn't do that much, but I guess it's how it all connects.
I think that you are significantly underplaying what you do. 12,000 people, Heidi.
12,000. I kind of wonder sometimes like what that looks like if we put everybody in one space.
Heidi, is there anyone you want to recognize for impacting your life in a positive way?
Oh my heavens. I have had a lot of people that have impacted me over the years, but I would say that it's probably my parents. My mom's name is Jean, and my father's name is Butch. At least that's what we call him. My dad is a lifelong volunteer from the Marine Corps to his local community, and his nickname is Mr. Volunteer. So he is who I attribute my love of volunteering to, and he is a very selfless man, not just to our family, but to his community. My mom is a lifelong baker, and she enjoys sweetening treats to all types of places. I have a sister-in-law who works in the medical profession, and she brings her sweet treats to spread the love to all of those healthcare workers. But yes, my parents are quite the pair.
Cheers to Butch and Jean.
That's right.
Wonderful. Heidi, for taking a difficult personal experience and making it into a gift that you get to give to other people, for spending time planning, organizing, fundraising, caring about people, both individually and collectively, for developing your own skills and learning so that you can help even more people, and for giving yourself selflessly, earning that new title of Mrs. Volunteer.
Oh.
Cheers to you.
Thank you.
Now it's your turn. Honor someone who has made your life better by recommending them as a guest or by recording a toast to them at ketoasts.com to positively impact my life and to keep us going. Tap the follow button, rate us using the star button, and share this episode with someone who could use some good news. Then, go toast up some bread, because every positive action is worth toasting. You're back.
Oh. I've never done this before, so this is kind of exciting. A woman who came to a retreat, and she had not actually told anyone that she had breast cancer. And I think it was about, by the second evening, there's an evening circle. And this woman spoke up and said that she had never actually said the words to anyone that she had cancer. She spoke it that night, and by the next day, she was sort of proud that she could have crossed that barrier that she had kind of put up herself for, probably for protection. Probably every single person goes through, what did I do to deserve this? Did I do something? Could I have done something better? And I'll never forget the look on her face when she said, I'd realized that it's not anything that I did, that it's, something that happened to me. And that's huge. It's a wonderful, wonderful way to heal, I think, by listening and kind of realizing that whatever you've been thinking is not abnormal. It's so normal.